You know, this time of year, it's so easy to get swept up in the bright lights and the holiday rush. But what if we just paused for a second and looked a little deeper? In this explainer, we're going to peel back those layers and explore the quieter, more ancient meaning of this season, a meaning that's rooted in stillness, in reflection, and in the wisdom of the dark. This right here, this is the central idea for our whole journey today. It's this ancient piece of wisdom that our ancestors really truly understood. It suggests that the literal and metaphorical darkness of winter isn't something we should fear, but actually something we can learn from as we navigate the quiet of the season and, the uncertainty of the times ahead. And let's be real. This season is just full of these fascinating contradictions, right? It's a time for both outward celebration and really deep inward reflection. And it's this beautiful tension that gives the holidays their unique power. And this duality, it's really at the heart of everything. On one hand, you've got all the festivities, the joyous reunions, the acts of goodwill. But then, at the very same time, there's this powerful pull of remembering. We feel nostalgia. We think about those who came before us. Maybe you even leave an empty chair at the table to honor your ancestors. We're celebrating the present while feeling deeply connected to the past. What this all adds up to is something pretty rare in our crazy, fast-paced world, a collective pause. It's a time when, whether we realize it or not, a huge part of the world slows down and turns inward. This is the space where real transformation can happen. It's where we get to cocoon and prepare for what's next, kind of like a caterpillar in its chrysalis, right? Getting ready for what's next. Okay, so how do we start to make sense of all this? Well, it turns out two of the most ancient and really enduring symbols of the season, the holly and the ivy, hold some incredible clues. And their wisdom goes back way before so many of our modern traditions. The incredible singer Judy Collins put it perfectly when she described the old carol, The Holly and the Ivy. She saw it as representing the outward sign of inward grace. See, the song just perfectly captures this season's deep, symbolic meaning, bridging the world we can see with the one we can't. And what's so fascinating is how these symbols got layered with new meanings over time. Take holly, with its sharp leaves and bright red berries. Well, it came to represent a pretty challenging archetype. In Christian symbolism, it reflects the crown of thorns and drops of blood, a symbol of sacrifice and a really powerful, unconditional love. And then you've got ivy. Ivy winds and it clings, a symbol of continuity, of fidelity, and of eternal life. It's often tied to Mary, and it represents the womb of creation, that matriarchal, relational intelligence that underpins all life. It's like the web of care that holds everything together. So when you put them together, the holly and the ivy, they stay green all winter long, acting as this bridge between older pagan rituals and later Christian mythology. They're this living, breathing reminder that hope isn't just some seasonal feeling we get during the holidays. It's structural. It's built right into the fabric of nature itself. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the song itself and see how this ancient wisdom got carried through the centuries, because the story of this carol is honestly just as fascinating as the plants it describes. I mean, this song has been on an incredible journey. It started with pagan roots tied to winter solstice rituals. The first printed versions we know of popped up in the early 1800s. Then it was referenced in a book on ancient mysteries in 1823. And it was finally collected and standardized as a folk song by a guy named Cecil Sharp in 1909. It has literally been passed down for generations. And all that history, it reveals something really important. Look, the song didn't survive just because it has a nice tune. It survived because the meaning packed inside it, that powerful symbolism of the holly and the ivy, stayed relevant through massive cultural shifts. And that idea, creating and holding on to meaning that feels real, that's where all this becomes deeply personal. So how can these big, universal symbols and ancient traditions actually help us navigate our own complex modern lives? Well, it turns out they can be a really powerful tool for finding our own sense of place. To really ground these big ideas, the author of our source material shares a pretty powerful personal story. See, they were a child of uncertainty, growing up in the foster care system, moving between different homes, and bouncing between all sorts of different traditions. So for them, this season actually became a chance to build stability right in the middle of instability. After spending holidays with 12 different families over the years, they basically picked the best bits from every single tradition and wove them all together to create a personal story that finally felt whole, that felt meaningful. And this act of personal story weaving, it connects directly to the true purpose of ritual that's existed for, well, millennia. At their core, our seasonal gatherings are about sharing what we have, passing down wisdom, and just taking a moment to honor and give thanks for everything we've harvested in the year behind us. All right, so let's pull the lens back out to the bigger picture. What can all this, these ancient traditions, these symbols, this personal story weaving, what can it teach us about the uncertain future we're all facing together? A lot of us probably remember that beautiful, wordless film, The Snowman. It's such a gentle story, but wow, it teaches a really hard lesson pretty early on. Impermanence is real. Beauty melts. The worlds we so carefully build for ourselves can literally disappear in an instant. So the lesson here isn't about trying to build a world that never melts. I mean, that's just impossible, right? What really truly survives the darkness isn't certainty, it's our adaptability. It's not about being able to predict the future, it's about building our resilience, our capacity to just begin again after things fall apart. And this points to the core skills we really need to cultivate right now. First, we've got to be able to hold multiple truths at once without needing to pick a side. Second, we need the skill of weaving opposing forces together, just like the pagan and Christian meanings of holly and ivy. And finally, connecting our own personal stories to the larger story of our planet. So, you see, if we really learn from the darkness, we start to understand that when the snow melts and our worlds change, we aren't lost. We're just ready for the next phase. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question to carry with us. What are we getting ready for?